I mentioned in the Nuka-Girl build that the build lacked a workhorse weapon. But what do I mean by that? Well, the workhorse weapon is the centerpiece of a build. It's the weapon you use most, so how do we define a good workhorse weapon? There are differing opinions, but I define it by 3 characteristics. First, either it's a melee weapon and thus requires no ammunition, or if it's a gun, its ammunition is easy to get a hold of. If its ammunition is rare, like the Cryolator, it's not a great workhorse weapon. Second, it needs to do at least respectable damage. Doesn't need to be OP, but you do need to kill stuff reliably. Lastly, your workhorse must work at close range. If your weapon doesn't work from far away, you can always get closer. But if once the target gets within a 5-foot radius, you don't have an answer, you're cooked. Can a workhorse work at farther ranges? Yeah, in fact, most of the best ones do. They also work close up. This was the pitfall of the Nuka-Girl build. Because all her weapons are explosive, using them up close proved fatal. Knowing this, certain weapons jump to mind as potential workhorses. Most knives, disciple blades for sure, 10mm pistols, shotguns, etc. But nothing that would fit the Nuka-Girl build. Unless we widen our parameters just a tiny bit. See, I think I found a weapon that fits perfectly for this build, and it's about as easy to get as a legendary can be. But first, we need caps. 2 wedding rings, 3 gold bars, a fat man, some abandoned power armor parts, and we got a good nest egg started. But we need to make one more stop, at the Super Duper Mart, or more specifically, at the bank across the street. See, around the back of this bank is a duffel bag with 100 pre-war currency in it. I call this bag the ATM because it refills every so often, and it's basically like a free 1,000 caps. Okay, so we got our cash, let's head down to Vault 88. Now I know what you're thinking. Oh, he's probably just gonna go and buy Overseer's Guardian, how boring. And you'd be wrong. That is a great gun, but not for this build. See, we're not actually gonna go into Vault 88. We're just gonna sit outside and wait for a certain someone to show up.
Cricket.
Come on, come on! Get your guns here! Small booms, big booms, I got them all.
Sure. Let's take a look.
Just think how damn good it'll feel holding one of these.
The only way you...
The spray and pray can only be described as majestic. This weapon, in the hands of Nuka-Girl, proves to be a force of destruction. Each bullet individually does 15 explosive damage, which is doubled by Nuka-Girl's perks, and she fires a lot of bullets. Spray and pray also causes many targets to stagger, effectively stun-locking them during sustained fire. Furthermore, it uses 45mm ammo, which is both cheap and plentiful, found in abundance at most general and weapon vendors. There is still the issue of blowback damage at close range, but there's something we can do about that. There's actually a common piece of equipment we can use to drastically reduce the amount of blowback damage we take from spray and pray, or really any explosion for that matter. And boy does it look good. Okay, so, real talk for a second. While I was doing research for this particular part, I saw a lot of conflicting hearsay about being able to put the armor modification dense on arms and legs of metal armor pieces, so that you could then put the padded modification on the chest piece of your combat armor and have 75% resistance to explosion damage, which would be amazing for this build. However, I, when at a workbench on this playthrough, am not able to do that. I thought maybe that it was the unofficial patch that I have installed. I disabled it, I tried it again, still couldn't do it. So my understanding is the intention of the developers was that this was supposed to be a chest only modification. So that's where I'm putting it, because that was the intention. It's entirely possible to find a glitched piece of armor that spawns for your arm or your leg that has it, in which case, congratulations. You just found a really cool, rare, and valuable piece of armor for this build. But I'm going to go with what I can do legit at a workbench. So, with that in mind, dense gives you 50% damage reduction against explosions. Padded gives you 25, but we can't have both since we only have one chest plate. So we're going to go with dense. Now, dense makes a huge difference because the per shot damage from this gun is not very high. So watch what happens. You see how much damage I took there? That's not a whole lot. So, and that was right up against the wall at point blank range. You're not going to be shooting at stuff that close particularly often. So when you go to use this gun against targets, you're going to take, hairs of damage, slivers of damage. It's not going to be a whole lot. So with this modification on, with this gun, you can have some fun. That said, there's actually a better gun out there than this one for this build. And this next gun actually has a modification on it that reduces how much damage you take from explosions. This thing does over 500 damage, which is over 100 damage more than a missile launcher. But that's not the part I want to talk about. This modification right here, the ballistic shield. Now it says, greatly increases explosive damage resistance while the weapon is equipped. But we've seen this somewhere before. This is almost verbatim what it says for the dense modification on body armor. Now I've tested this. With this and dense, I take 142 points of damage. With this and padded on the chest plate, I take 79 points of damage from this thing, which tells me that this is the dense modification because it doesn't stack with dense. You have here dense on a gun that shoots grenades. Powerful ones. And that means you could put padded on your chest plate and have 75% resistance, not just to your own blowback damage, but to all explosives. And you don't need to sacrifice a slot on your arm or wear a piece of metal when you could be wearing combat armor. This is awesome. Of course, we haven't talked about this gun's ammo yet. The 40mm frag round. I'd say this is the weak spot of this weapon. Well, you can find this ammo at any weapon vendor. It is on the pricey side, and the vendors don't usually have much in stock. I'd make it a point to start hoarding this ammo right from the start of the game if you plan to use this weapon as a primary, so that when you do finally receive this reward from Scruggs, you have a nice stockpile built up. The scarcity of this ammo type is not nearly as bad as 4570, which can only be found in Nuka World, or the Cryolator ammo, so you can feel a bit more confident letting this baby rip in a fight and not worry about running dry later. But now let me pass this question off to you guys. Do you agree with my picks, or is there another weapon out there that would be a better fit for Nuka-Girl than one of these two? Let me know down in the comments below. But until next time, thanks for checking out my channel, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.